Well, I have a bunch of old beekeeping equipment stacked up here, ready to be used later. And see all these bees around there this morning. There's a lot of stuff around here. I've got my table saw and stuff out here under my little awning. And they found a hole in that one. Apparently we've had a nice swarm. Huh. So now I got something else to deal with here. Bees. I noticed that little hole. It was something I was going to fix and hadn't got around to it. So I moved those bees out onto the stands, and I gave them a little while, and after a while I took that box away from them, and I need to repair it now. Hi, it's Bruce. Welcome back. Today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit about these beehive boxes, and we want to extend the life on these things so that they'll last longer. We want to get years out of these boxes, and sometimes you have to tune them up a little bit. All right, now up north, our brothers and sisters who beekeeping up there, they get a winter break, and we really don't here in Florida. So just catch as catch can. Now, I never really got into woodworking until I became a beekeeper. As a young man in the military, I was in the fire and rescue services. I retired. I worked overseas for a long time, and it was just nothing I got interested in. But after I started keeping bees, we started building boxes at our bee club. You've seen videos of that. Hopefully you've seen videos, my old videos, talking about building boxes and such. I got to start at that, doing it at the bee club, which was a wonderful resource for me. Now I've added my own stuff, my own, saws and other equipment. And I usually build my own equipment at my house here. But whether you buy store-bought equipment or build it from scratch, you got to do certain things to keep it running. The bees don't care. They'll use it no matter how they find it. But if they find a little hole, they'll start making it larger. They do that. Also, what causes wood to rot? Wood rots because of moisture. And here in Florida, we get this great heat, but we also got lots of humidity. And those things will rot the wood on everything, on your house, on your, anything outdoors, the wood rots. Okay, the tools we're using today, um, this is just some cheap calipers for measuring, a putty knife, some Titebond 3 and a clamp. I've got a block plane and a Stanley hand plane, a chisel, a tenon saw, my Durham's water putty. I'm not sponsored by them, but it's a good product. Just some little cheap things to mix it up and use the putty with. I used a marking gauge, a file, a clamp, my old rinky-dink mallet. That's about all you really need to keep your boxes tuned up when they start getting old. So how can we fix a problem like this? Well, it's not too bad. In this case, I'm just going to patch in some material. And so what you do, I've cut a piece of wood, and you can kind of gauge that it's roughly the right thickness, like, okay. This is going to be, I've cut it slightly proud, but it's pretty close. Also pine, yellow pine in this case, but okay. Now I take a marking gauge and I've set it to the width of this box. I'm just going to come down here like this, and I'm going to see if I can mark it. Yeah. Okay. Just need a little knife edge so I can see it. So the good wood is about to here. So what we'll do, I'm just going to take a little tenon saw. Okay, that's just a little bit lower, but it'll be enough to work with for a moment. Now, I'm gonna maybe clamp this down a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna mark my line on this side of the wood. This way. Okay, this one's a little bit problematic because of the edge here, but I just want to get a good idea how far to go. Now, I'm going to use this. I need to get my mallet. Pardon me for a second. Yeah, my mallet's a 2x4, I know. So I'm going to kind of sneak up on that cut, come just a little bit in from it. Try and keep my line straight. Now I realize that I could have done this with a jigsaw or even a coping saw, but pine splits off pretty good, just like this. Okay, so I need to do a little more work on this. See just a little bit of rotted wood right here on the very corner. So I'm going to just kind of file it down just a little bit. Just going to clean this up a little bit with my file, with my chisel. Put this over here so I got something to work against. So this is getting fairly close now. So now I'm just going to mark this and cut it. Cut lines straight like this. It's good to kind of guide it with your thumb until you get it going and established good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set this in. All right, my weapon of choice is Type Bond 3, of course. And this particular Type Bond is just about dried out. So I'm going to just get a little bit on my screwdriver and do it that way. That cottage cheese, but it'll work. Okay, so I'm going to let that set up. Got a little bit of squeeze out going here, but I'm going to deal with all that. And there's method to my madness, you'll see. All right. Now there is something I can do while that glue dries. You notice right in here, this is not squared off anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of propolis on the inside here, but I don't mind that so much because the bees love the smell of it. But the bees will actually chew on the wood, and that's what's going on here. So they thin that down. So I'm going to go ahead and address that too while we're here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a piece of masking tape, and I'm going to use it to form a straight edge right here. Okay. Now, we're going to mix up some of this. Durham's Rock Hard Water Putty. This is really good stuff. I really like this. And you can use this to form a putty that will do amazing things here. I don't know if you can see all this or not, hopefully. Okay. So this stuff is just a powder, and you mix it with water. So I've made a little disposable cup here out of an old water container. We'll get a little of this, dump it in here. And we'll try and be real careful. Do just a little bit of water and mix it up. I'm almost there. Kind of like using Bondo on your car. The better job I do now, the less sanding and planing that I might have to do in a minute, in a little bit. Okay, that's good. Okay, we'll let that set up. This is the Brazilian pepper. Invasive plant, state of Florida hates it, but usually our biggest honey crop comes from it. It's about done for the year. The flowers turn into these little red berries. Now, there's a few more things blooming. There's sunflowers and things, but this is about it for the blooming season until February when the maple trees flower up. I forgot to mention, but another thing that I do is when you have active rot, you can scrape away any loose stuff and then paint in some of this wood hardener. And that'll stop any rot from going on. It's like a resin, it dries hard, smells kind of strong. But this is a good way to go, and I put that kind of around the patch that I put in any wood that I think needs it, and then I'll do that before I paint it. Okay, so it's the next day, and you saw me, I glued this little patch right here. Okay. Now that's pretty ugly. You can see a gap at the top here. There's a gap here. There's a small gap on the inside right here. But we're going to tighten that up. It'll be no problem. So what I'm going to do, I'll set that so I can brace it against the wall. One thing I've been working on lately here, I've kind of gotten into hand planes. This old Stanley here is about 100 years old. I haven't really restored it, but I have sharpened it. And so let's see how it'll do. That's kind of loud. Just want to blend that in right there where it's a little high. Let me turn it this way. Okay. And then this way. So this is set on a pretty fine setting, and all I'm doing is I am flattening it out. And so any high spots will get taken down, any low spots, the plane just glides right over. Now, after I'm done with this repair, another thing that I'm going to do, of course, is the finish on this. This one's going to be repainted, but now I realize that not everybody is going to have a 100-year-old Stanley hand plane. A much more inexpensive box plane like this, block plane, sheesh, can't talk. A block plane like this is also a very handy thing, and you can do the same thing with it. Just want to knock down the high spots. Okay. Now, this looks kind of rough still. Now, if you remember, I had also put a little of that Durham's water putty on this railing here, and I'd use this tape as a straight edge. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up a little bit here too. And again, it doesn't need much. Just coming down. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay. So that's almost ready for paint, but I'm going to mix up just a little bit more Durham's and fill in these gaps right here. So bear with me and I'll get that done. I'll do that off camera since you've already seen that. Okay, so you can see how I filled it on the inside there where there was a little bit of a gap in here and on this side here. Okay, now this is the box that you saw me gluing up earlier. And along with wood rot, what this Florida heat and sun and moisture humidity does is it causes wood to move and warp. And so you can apply some glue and you clamp it down and it'll last a good long time. Okay, this box is pretty rough, but I'm going to refinish it and get some more use out of it. Let's see, May's table bees. Yep, my oldest daughter May had a bunch of bees in her table, and that's where they came from. So I've puttied up these edges here, and I'll finish that down. When I get ready, before I paint it, I'm also going to take my plane and I'll scrape down these rails. And I'll finish the outside. I don't finish the inside on the boxes. And we'll extend the life. We'll get several years. These two boxes are probably 6 years old, but we'll extend the life. We'll get some more use out of them. Okay, well, we're coming to the end of the video. I'm not going to make you watch me paint these boxes. Suffice it to say that as a beekeeper, I'm as frugal a beekeeper as I can be. And I'm a big believer in this whoops paint. What you do is you go to Lowe's and ask them for whoops paint. And what happens is that people will come and they'll have their little paint chip cards and they'll try and match a specific color, and the store clerk will sit there and mix it all up, and it'll be wrong. And so then that person won't buy the paint that they've just had to mix up. And then you can get a big can of paint pretty cheap, but there's no telling what color it'll be. Now, the bees don't care. Honestly and truly, I've asked them several times and they just don't mind. They say, look, just give us a box, give us somewhere to stay. We don't care. But anyway, this was a simple repair on an old box. And by doing simple things with some simple woodworking tools, you can keep your boxes for a long time because, I mean, wood's expensive. And having said that, I'll finish on this note here. During the pandemic, the price of wood at Lowe's and Home Depot went crazy. Used to be, I could buy a board and I could build 3 boxes and it would be great. That board would be perfect. Um, you know, nowadays, I think the prices are coming down a little bit, but they're still too expensive. So you need to get as much bang from your buck as you can. One other thing to ask real quick here about in the video, you notice there was one spot on the video where I had a little picture of my bee club on a build day, building beekeeping equipment. Well, they were focusing it on building bee escapes. We have our honey season coming up. Our honey harvest is coming up in the next couple of weeks. Are you interested in that? Would you like to see me build one and go through it, how you do it? Please let me know. And as always, I thank you very kindly. I appreciate all your watches, and I would appreciate if you give me a shout, give me a like, a comment. But this is Bruce, and I will see you the next time. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. I really appreciate that.